Anna.
Mystic.
So I was just going over some of the ways to clean crystals. This is what we went over last class, but there's a bunch of new people and I just wanted to make sure that people had a grasp. I unfortunately have funky memory and can't remember who was at the last class. I should probably write that stuff down. I have a potty mouth. If anyone's super uptight about it, I apologize beforehand.
You're not alone. It's okay.
And Rebecca.
I have to show you real quick the irony, your background and my shirt.
Oh, I love it. Oh my God, I love that. I'm looking at getting, I have a half tattoo. I have a half sleeve tattoo on this arm and I'm looking to finish. I have a line on this arm and I'm looking to finish. Jesus Christ, what did you do? Oh, that's a background, Hannah.
Yeah.
It's like, holy shit, how did you do that?
That's my original display when I first got inventory.
Oh, that's so amazing.
My 14-year-old did that.
Oh, I like your 14-year-old, but you already knew that.
I like all my kids, thankfully.
Really? I have one I'm struggling with, but that's okay. That's a different story. Okay, so I'm just going to go again over the ways of cleaning. Salt is a big one for a lot of people. I have a lot of reservations about salt. I have a lot of reservations about salt because it can get in, if there's any kind of crevice in a stone, it can get into those crevices and it can help erode it. There are certain stones that are absolutely cannot be cleaned with salt. I'm not going to go over those, but salt and water are two of the ways that you just need to be more careful. Rose quartz, amethyst, clear quartz, you can run them underwater. You can put them in spring water. You can do lots of things with them, but other ones you need to be more careful. Selenite will rust and fall apart if you get it wet. I had a piece on a windowsill with some plants. I overwatered my plants, and the next time I picked up my piece of selenite, it basically fell apart in my hands. So that's one of the ways. Those are two ways, but you have to be really careful with them. Smoke, incense, Palo Santo. I don't use white sage as that's appropriation, and I'm not Native American. And so I don't use sage. I actually use Indian incense, but that's because a lot of my practice is very Eastern in its origin, because I lived in India as a child. So that's what's comforting to me. So I use incense. You can bury them to clean, leave them over 24 hours. Then you can take a little brush, like a makeup brush, and brush off all the dirt out of all the crevices if it's raw, or just brush them off. That's the sunlight. Sunlight is great. Some crystals fade if you leave them for long times in the sun, like fluorite. However, if you leave it in the sun for 4 hours with the intention of cleaning it, it's fine. Moonlight, any kind of moonlight. Obviously, full moon is good for charging your crystals, but that is not any kind of moonlight will clean. And then the one thing that I do the most of is, let me go get it. Hang on. So I have a Tibetan singing bowl. And when I do readings, I always wash out. I always rinse off, not rinse off. I always use sound. And I don't have my normal. And then I wait until I hear the right kind, till it's clear through the thing. And then I know that the stone that's inside has then been cleaned. So sound is very effective. If you have a great voice, I'm not going to demonstrate because I have a not great voice, but there is a certain tone that you can do and you'll feel it cleaning through things. So that's the quick version of what we went over in the bigger picture last class. So this time, even though Rebecca's heard it, I'm going to go over real quick again my background. I've been studying esoteric and occult things since I was 17. I've done electrical healing and healing with crystals since I was about 23. I did all the things that witches do, but didn't really put a title to it until I was older. And then when I came out of the closet, I promptly lost half my friends because I was super excited about it, and they were freaked out. I'm a little older now, and so I have learned how to find the balance between being comfortable with being a Wiccan and being out. However, also recognizing that people have different paths, and that path, it's not for me to put my path on them, just as it's not for them to put their path on me. I am a medical social worker, so I work with patients, and I have had a number of patients ask me, and I will not lie and say, yes, I am. And they've never had any issues with it. I think once they pick up on it, they're fine with it. Or if they're not fine with it, they're not going to ask me. So today we're going to look into what's called programming or activating crystals. And then after we go over that, then the stone that we're working with today is actually, it's a fairly obscure stone or rare stone, and it's called Kambaba Jasper. And it looks, can you guys see that with the eyes on it? I have a bunch of them. I didn't know it was super rare until I was doing a little bit of research. This one doesn't show up as well. This one shows up pretty good. Is that clear for everybody? Make sense? Okay, so it's called Kambaba Jasper. We'll go into the details of that after we talk about programming. Okay, there's programming or activating, or there's all kinds of words for it. And there's also controversy with programming crystals as well. I'm going to keep looking down to my side because I have my notes, and I'd rather be accurate than coming from the hip, which I'm very good at as well. So in programming crystals, so here's the controversy. The controversy with programming crystals is that people believe, and I have some of this, that unless it's a clear crystal, a clear quartz, which is programmable by any means, stones have their own frequency. And so if you're trying to override that stone's frequency with something that may or may not fit it, it might not be as effective, which is true. I believe that's true. I'll explain how I work with this after I talk about sort of what people talk about. Again, remember, everybody who you read about, every book that you read will contradict what the previous book that you read said. You have to go, this has to be what your gut feeling is. It has to be that feeling of what, yeah, just that feeling of what works for you. So my biggest point in this is always trust yourself. If you pick up a red crystal, which is to do with your either root or sacral chakra and can be very energizing for some people, and you find it very calming, then use it as a calming stone. So it really comes down to what works for you, what you feel is, yeah, what you feel it has. Do the research, see what other people say, see if there's points that you agree with or where you don't agree with, or you're like, I don't feel that at all, or whatever. I said this earlier, I like Judy Hall, I like Karen Fraser, Nicholas Pearson's pretty good. And I found a new guy, but I'm not sure how I feel about him. His name is Philip Permutt, and I'm not sure how I feel about it. which means I haven't finished reading his book. So in activating a crystal, the most important step is you take your crystal, whatever crystals they are, and you get a feel for it. You get a feel for the stone itself. Like I have, so this larger palm stone is super polished, but it still has a feel of, to me, it still has a feel of a kind of, it not as smooth, not as like slick as say tiger's eye can get super slick. Like when it gets polished, it'll fall out of your hand in a heartbeat. This, even though this is super polished, it still has that sort of not as polished feel. And I'm gonna use this one as the example as we go along. So the first thing is to get a feel for the crystal, and some of this may be, if you've done research, is to see if you feel the same thing, is to find what works. Always, and I'll say it again over and over, always, always, always trust your gut, trust your feeling. If you pick up a stone and it doesn't feel right, it could be dyed, it could be not the right stone, it could be not what you need. And sometimes it could be exactly what you need. It just feels very uncomfortable. like most things, it has that double-edged sword. So how I get a good feel for the stone is, so I take my stone and I put it into the middle of my palm like that. And then I close my hand, and then I do both together. So it hits both, because there's an opening into your system, into your electrical system in the palms. And so I that's how I get a feel for a stone, and I feel it. And with this particular stone, I can feel it's ancient. I can feel that it's not old, but like pyramid ancient. So to me, that's what it feels like. So you get a feel for your stone. I'm not a fantastic meditator because that requires me sitting down. I meditate when I'm folding clothes, or if I'm ironing, which I don't do anymore, or if I'm doing other things. It's more of a meditative, I have to move. But then I would just put the stone in my pocket. I always wear pants with pockets. I always wear leggings with pockets. If it doesn't have pockets, I don't want them. And so I can get a feel for it as I'm moving. So I'm still sort of calming down, getting grounded, and then I can feel the stone and get a feel for it. So many times when you meditate, you can get a good feel for the stone. And that gives you a opening to start to activate, program, consecrate. There's all kinds of terms for it. So, and so when I program crystals personally, I do some research before I program it so that I'm using its fundamental frequency. I'm going to give two examples. The first is rose quartz. And if you're in a situation where you need self, and it also you need self, you need that kind of, Anna,
I'm back.
Can you mute if you're,
Yeah.
Thank you. Because I get distracted. So
Figure it out.
I think being able to use what's already in as a part of the stone to be able to then add to it what you need, what you're hoping for, what you need it to help you with. You know, the first example I had was the rose quartz, which is to do with love, and it can go all the way from relationships, and rose quartz responds very well, all the way to self-love. If you feel that you're putting yourself down, or that you are not, you're not good with yourself, rose quartz is a great stone. And programming that for that self-love, for that love of that compassion for humanity, for that trying to work things out with your partner, rose quartz is a great, because it already has that frequency in it. So you're just taking that frequency and saying, please help me over on this side. The other one I brought up was green adventurine. Green adventurine is a stone of abundance. It's also to do with your heart chakra, but it is also a stone of luck. And if you use, like, for example, if you use it with pyrite, you can actually, like, I need a certain amount of, I need to pay my Excel or electricity bill. It's $222. I really need to figure out how to pay this, and then program it with it, and then work on it every day, touch it every day. And it's a type of manifestation, and then that will come. If you are offered a side job, that's it offering you a side job. It doesn't mean that you're just going to get a check from your insurance company saying that you overpaid. It might be, but more than likely it's going to be offering you opportunities to be able to handle whatever that is. I know I'm going along at a nice, good clip. Does anybody have any questions? Nope. Okay, we'll keep going. So then the way to actually activate it and to put what you need into it, the first is to do with your breath. And you can hold it and you can breathe, like, you know, like when you do the whistle with the grass, you can breathe slowly into the stone. You can breathe across the stone. So you can use your breath to carry your intention, to carry what you need it to help you with into the stone. The other way to do it is through affirmations. This is what I've done, and this is what works for me. And as we know, or as you should know, all affirmations need to be in present tense and need to be, I am loved. I am in love. I am being loved. Affection is happening to me. Make it to the moment, to the making sure that it's present. It's not, I will be loved. I'm hoping for, because that opens it up. It doesn't keep it very straightforward. Crystals are crystalline structure. And then we'll be going into that probably in about 2 or 3 weeks. And those structures are very, not rigid, but they're structures. That's where the energy within crystals sits. And so you need to be very specific. I manifested for about a month about needing more consistent work, because I had a number of jobs that were inconsistent. And then I was offered, every day I worked on it. Every day I worked on manifesting and seeing myself in a permanent job. And I got it. I got the only full-time medical social worker, salaried social worker in the Denver area. So it works, but it takes more time than you want it to, and it takes being consistent. That's the thing. This is if you're programming your crystal and you want it to radiate and send something to you, you need to do it every single day till you feel it's full of you. You'll feel it. Like you'll go to do something, you'll go to hold it, and then mentally intend into it, and it'll feel full, and you'll be like, okay, I'll let that, put it on your altar, put it in your pocket, wherever works for you. And it's also one of the other things when you're activating crystals, this is what I do, is to do with making sure that you're also looking at its highest potential. crystals are, I believe that crystals are provided from the earth to help people heal and to help people strengthen and to grow, help people grow. I think they are given up from the earth of themselves, and that they have a very high connection potential. And so you also need to make sure while you're putting your desires and hopes into it, that you're also remembering that it carries its own journey and frequency, and you just need to acknowledge that. So that's what I've got about programming crystals. So open to questions. Somebody ask some questions. Somebody, come on, people.
I was always taught, like you talked about the selenite and the water, that any crystal that ends in "ite" should not be put in water or have water put on it. Is that kind of what you're thinking too? Like kyanite.
Yeah, I took a shower. I have a kyanite necklace. I didn't take it off. I took a shower with it. It was smaller. When I came out of the shower, I was like, motherfucker, God damn it. So yes, I haven't researched that. That's not like a little trick that I've heard, but I'll definitely look into it. It might be very true. I'm just very cautious with water because I don't know.
Right.
I don't know all the stones. I know basic stones but I don't, I know actually more than basic stones, but I don't know every one. I just don't use water unless, I have 4 honking rose quartz crystals on the edge of my bath that I throw into my bath when I'm going to take a bath, and then I sit down on one of them. But so that's something that I'll look into, and then the next class I'll either say, yeah, I found this to be true. So if it ends with "ite," no water, I will look into that, because that's awesome. If that's the case, that most crystals end with "ite."
I know.
I think that's why I use smoke and sound.
Right.
Those are the ones that I use. And I'm sorry. Oh God. And I use selenite. Here, I got to show you my awesome selenite. So I use this.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So when I get new crystals, the very first thing I do before playing with them or handling them or anything is I put them on this for at least 24 hours. Okay. I have selenite bowls and I have selenite plates and I have lots of little bits of selenite around the place, but this is my baby, and she gets all the new crystals. Rough, raw, polished necklaces, earrings, whatever. It goes on her for 24 hours, and then I'll use either smoke or sound. Most of the time I use smoke at home. If you come and see me do crystal readings, then you'll hear me cleaning the stones before they go back into the crystal bag. I'll be cleaning each of the stones with sound. Even at the fair where it's loud and noisy, you'll still hear my little Tibetan bowl going, gong, gong, gong. Ah, you're done. So that's a good thing about the "ite." I'll take a look into that and then I'll let you know. So the stone today, Kambaba Jasper. It is not a jasper. Now I've gotten contradictory information on this. Yay. It is actually a kind of fossil. It's like stromatolite. It comes along in the same story as that. Now, I did read somewhere that it was fossilized jasper, but I've also read that it's not jasper. And it makes sense because it feels very different than say ocean jasper or picturesque jasper. It has a very different frequency to it. And I never understood why. Again, this is what it looks like. It's got sort of, it's green with sort of like little, it's mostly green and it's got little black circles around the eyes that have to pop up. I don't know. I'm trying to find ones that you guys can see the, oh, this one's good. The eyes. And there. Is that, can you see it? No. We'll go back. I think this one might, this one's too shiny though. Yeah. We'll just go back to the palm stone and we'll just use this one because that people can see that. I'm going to show you another stone that it gets mixed up with in a minute. So Kambaba Jasper is not a jasper. It is a fossil, a stromatolite, and green stromatolite. And the best thing about it, no, not the best thing, the coolest thing about it is that part of the makeup of Kambaba Jasper, and I will continue to call it Kambaba Jasper because that's what it is called, is that it's called cyanobacteria. So this bacteria, they believe, was the first oxygen producing bacteria. And that's what makes Kambaba Jasper. And I think that's absolutely mind-blowingly cool. Like, so this is so old, it contains within it the bacteria that started us all. I don't know. Maybe people don't think that's awesome, but I think it's like,
that's why it feels ancient to you, because
well, as soon as I found that out, I was like, oh yeah, well, that makes perfect sense. It does have a bit of a Jasperous feel though. So if you're, when you start, it could feel Jasper, but it feels much older than Jasper. So there's two things that it's often mistaken. The first is malachite. Personally, I don't know how you can mistake it for malachite, but that's me. Malachite looks like this. Bright green with usually stripes. It has sometimes some eyes, but the eyes are green and the stripes are like darker green. And it's much more of a Kelly green where
that's what I was going to say, because I have a malachite that has the eyes. And I'm like, I was thinking, I can't remember the name off the top of my head. And I'm like, it reminds me of that. But yeah, it is a more brighter green.
So yeah, so Kambaba Jasper usually ends up being more of a olive green. I'm going to have to get pictures and then just do the slides so that you guys can actually see them well. And then it's also confused with nebula stone. Now, the difference with the nebula stone is that the nebula stone is mainly black with green eyes, where this has the black circle around the green eyes. Nebula stone doesn't have a circle. It's black with little green eyes on it. So it's very different and it feels completely different. Actually, it feels completely different than malachite as well. So it is currently only found in Madagascar. It is considered a rare stone, which I didn't know until I was doing my research today, that it was considered a rare stone, because look, this is how many I have. I have like a whole little, my little Kambaba Jasper thing, which I was like, wow, I didn't realize that it was rare. Like, oh, I didn't know you were, I mean, I'm glad you're rare, but I didn't know you were rare. And so now the Kambaba part comes from India, and the Kambaba Court Chronicle was Kambaba was one of the court chronicles in ancient times in India, in Manipur, India. And so I'm going to assume that they either still have mines or have mined them out, but there can be, it can also come from India. But currently the easiest place to get it is from Madagascar. And just so you know, maybe we'll do a field trip and we'll all save up for a year and then go to Madagascar and come home with a suitcase full of rocks. That's what I want to do. I'm
Do
sure
it.
I'm sure it's beyond my budget, but that's what I want to do. Okay, so there's that very ancient feel. It's a very profound feel. And it is the for those who are chakra based and in that's how they sort of move things together. It's both a root and a heart chakra. And one of the things that it does is it resonates because of its ancientness. It has a huge, oh shit, someone asked me a question. How much was that piece of selenite? Like $70, I think, $60 or $70. I got it. I got it through a place that's a little pricey, but I always know that everything they have is ethically sourced. And I got it on on a live thing. They had like 3 of them. So they might be more, but
That's still not a bad price for that big chunk.
oh no, it's freaking awesome. So the malachite, the malachite, I have the malachite sitting here. Let's move them away so I don't look at them. So the kyanite the kyanite. Okay, where are we doing? We are doing Kambaba. It has a ancient and profound wisdom, and it connects to that part of us that is that, I guess DNA would be the term for today, but that lineage of all of us that goes way back. It is also very much a part of, it has a special connection to Mother Earth. And so she, and I call crystals she has an amazing ability to connect you to yourself, and then also to that sort of ancient part of us that keeps us, that lineage that we have. Obviously, my leaning, I'm going to say that maternal lineage, but I'm sure there's probably some Y chromosomes in there too. I just decide not to discuss them. And so again, some of the qualities of this is to balance the emotional center through, like it balances with the root chakra. And so the 2 of them together allow for a really good balance for emotions if you're in a situation of distress or stress or anxiety. It's a, there's lots of great stones for nervousness and anxiety. Lipdite, rose quartz can help, amethyst can help. But it has a very special feel about grounding you through that lineage, grounding you through the planet Earth. And you don't need to be barefoot in the field. You can be driving and you can still ground yourself. I do it all the time. So I know that it's helpful to be able to go stand on grass. That totally makes a big difference, but you can ground yourself wherever you are because it's to do with you and connecting to the earth. So it has an emotional balance to it, and it helps one run cool. So if you know you're going into a situation that is going to be possibly, for example, I will use my personal life. I'm supposed to have a meeting later today with my ex. We're supposed to go out and discuss the fact that he's not telling me what's going on with my teenager. I'm going to be bringing this with me because I don't want to get hot with him because then he shuts down. So I'm taking it with me so I can keep running cool and I can keep my cool during that exchange. And so that's one of the great things that it's for, is that it allows you to run very smooth and very cool. All crystals are grounding because they come from the ground. Some crystals are connect to higher parts, and so they may not feel as grounding, but every single crystal comes from the ground. And if you ever need to be grounded, you can grab any single one of them and say, I need grounding, and it will help you because it comes from the earth. So yes, tourmaline and obsidian or any black stone, jet, onyx, any black stone is protective and grounding, but every stone can be grounding if you need it to be. So if you're in a situation where you're like, holy shit, I need to get it back together, any stone that you have on you, with you, you ask for it to help you ground, and it will. This is super grounding because of the history of it in the earth. And so it can also act as, this is from reference. I haven't seen it happen with me, but I've seen it with reference. It correlated with a couple of different people, so I'm willing to put it out there, which is that it kind of it provides support, like a life coach or a teacher or something. It can provide you that kind of support that you need as you learn. That when you feel overwhelmed by information, or if you feel overwhelmed by any kind of given situation, this is a great stone to have because it will help you slow down that intake to a point where that you can handle it. So even if somebody like me is going, then you can still handle it. So the connection between the root and the heart, which is why it's very grounding, which is why there's that, it can help you run, if your emotions run hot or are easily triggered, that it can help ground it, is because of that connection to the base chakra. And so that then allows for a person to not feel disconnected. It can help you feel connected all the way through, even though it's not necessarily working with your higher centers and it's not working with your lower. It just gives you that grounding feel. Okay, that's right. And I have found this to be true. It also, the other side of this is that it makes you face some of the things you may or may not want to have faced, such as history, such as emotional relationships that may have been traumatic or scarring. This is going to bring it up. But because it has that teacher aspect, because it has that life coach aspect, you will find that you're coming up with the answers yourself. Obviously, the stone is helping you come up with those, but it can really help clean out some of that built up, I'm not emotional junk. I don't know. I'm not sure the right word. What would be the right word? It just gives you back control as you deal with those past things that you need to deal with. It puts you back in the driver's seat. And then you might have some trauma sitting next to you, and you'd be like, yeah, I'm going to deal with you one little bit at a time because I don't want to deal with all of you. And this stone will protect you. It will keep you from having to deal with that big, massive wave. If you know you're going into a traumatic situation or something that triggers you, this is a good stone to have because it has that history, has that long history that goes with it. And it's one of these stones. This is why I like this one so much, is because it's pretty thin and it slips in everywhere, including my bra. And most stones fall out because I don't have enough to hold it. So I can put it in my bra up here and it stays all day. Yes, I'm one of those women that have bent over at patient's house and had a couple stones roll out. So yeah, that's me. But it's one of those things that the more you have it with you, the more you work with it, the more that it can provide help for you, the more that it can provide assistance in that long-term sort of base to heart. It's a lot of it's to do with emotional, like dealing with your emotions, but coming from your base, as opposed to trying to deal with it from your emotions. Obviously, it's a green and black stone, so that makes sense that it comes, it's the heart chakra and the base. So that's a makes sense kind of thing. But it really does carry the wisdom of old. So that was my incredibly fast spiel. So now I need questions. Your mute is on, honey. Becca.
Sorry, not really a question, but well, I recently had to go on disability, so I'm no longer, but I've been a nurse for 22 years and I was a home health nurse most recently. I would carry my crystals in my pockets. I had chosen ones that I used, including the black tourmaline and in my incoming pocket, and communication and ones, and emotional stability in my outgoing pocket. So I would do that. And one day I forgot to carry my crystals in my pockets and I had the worst day. And I didn't even realize it until I got home to pull my crystals out of my pockets that I didn't have them with me. So, yep.
So that's what, because I'm a home health social worker with home health and hospice, that's what these are for.
Yes.
Because I'm an empath. And even though I don't have contact with people, I make contact with people because people are starved for contact.
Right.
Yeah, all my friends are either nurses or teachers.
Yeah.
And they're both like, I'm the non-confrontational one. I mean, I can be, don't get me wrong, but I'm the one that's like, let's work it out. You two stop arguing. It's not about you, it's about her. Which you understand exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But yes, absolutely. So I wear these bracelets so much. You know how you get a farmer's tan? My wrists are white. I'm tan and my wrists are white.
Right.
So I totally get that. But it is, I mean, crystals that work. And like I said, you can take any crystal and make it work if whatever you need it to do. Crystals are amazingly sensitive to humans. I believe that they really do release themselves for humans. That doesn't mean when you get a crystal that you don't need to clean it, because it's very painful for it to be ripped from the earth. And then if you have people that are shitty and greedy along the way, which you do, then you have to do a really good cleaning.
Right.
That's why I do the selenite, and then I do the smoke, and if the smoke doesn't work, then I do the sound, and then usually, and then if not, I've only had one or two where I've been like, okay, I'm going to clean you, and then I hold it and clean it out, and then Michelle is being an empath deeply. So Tiffany, as an empath, I am an empath, and I do want to make contact with people because of my job and because that's what I need to do. That's why I have all these they're not stupid, sorry, all these bracelets every time, because I think of them as they don't, and I have a big little basket of all my bracelets. I probably have 200. And then every day I choose the bracelets that I need. It's part of my morning meditation. I choose what I need for the day. If money's a huge issue, then get 2 black tourmaline bracelets off of Amazon. clean them really good. Those can go in, I mean, you can just clean them with smoke, clean them with intention, clean them with sunlight. And then I would also get a obsidian. I swore I want it. Anyway, it looks like this, except it's black and it's not in a net. This is rhodochrosite. But I would get a necklace for that. And then when you're putting on your bracelets in the morning, because you get a little pad of selenite. Selenite's pretty cheap, or a stick of selenite. I use a stick and I just put my bracelets on the sticks of selenite to clean them every night. But put them on your wrists, and then intentionally, you're doing this as intention, is to minimize the intake of negative energy. And because tourmaline is a natural negative energy repellent, that it will repel negative energy. So that'll cut about 2/3 of what you're having to deal with. And I'm going to say this, I use crystals because that's what works best with me. I know people who are in the kitchen and they cook, and that cleans them up. That's what makes them whole. I know people who, I have a girlfriend, she just sent me a picture of the 50,000 plants that she put on her front porch. And I'm like, oh God, those would die with me within a week. But that's what she needs. She needs to stick her hand in the earth. She needs to be playing with plants. She needs to grow her herbs. And so you have to find, and keep trying different things, right? If crystals, the obsidian and the tourmaline will help absolutely unequivocally. Okay. They're reasonable. So for under $25 or $30, you can get the necklace and 2 bracelets. Okay. If you're coming to the, I don't even know how to say it. If you're coming to the fair next week, are you going to be able to come? Are you in Colorado?
No, I'm in Washington.
So I'm just going to make this really big assumption. You're not coming on Saturday.
Yeah, I'm in Florida.
You're in Florida. That's awesome. That's so awesome. So I would just get, I'm giving you the cheap way out. If you can go through other places, but a lot of times those bracelets can cost like, $18 or $28, and you can get it online for $7, the tourmaline bracelet.
Okay.
And then the necklace is usually around 9 or 10. So between the two, you're probably about $25. So that will help you start to be able to build a shield. And if you want to stay on a little bit after, I can talk to you about how to build a shield. If you want to.
Yeah, I can.
Or if Rebecca wants to stay on, she's welcome to. I don't know if Alex is still on or if she's just the host leaving it open. But sorry, everybody gets to see just my mouth. Awesome. So, Rebecca, are you okay if I go through how to do a shield?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So, the first thing that you need to do, Tiffany, is you need to get a feel for your aura. And that is, and the edge of your aura is usually close to your fingertips. Radiation can be felt much further, but the egg shape that comes around us, the aura that comes around us, right, is egg shaped. And usually you can feel your edge of your aura at the end where your hands are. You can't see my hands, but sort of like how, like, right, I can feel my edge right about here. And that goes all the way out. Okay. So that's the first thing. That's the shield. And then the other one is the etheric. The etheric is, everybody's seen it. Every single one of us has seen it. It's that 1 to 2 inch glow that goes around the body. It goes all the way around the body. I'm sure you've seen it. I don't know a person, once you point it out, I don't know a person who hasn't seen it. And some people can see auras. So
that's something that I seem to be able to do. I found out when I was 15. I was talking with my sister-in-law and I looked at her and I'm like, I don't know why, but there's like this really bright blue color wrapped around you. She said, what? I was like, yeah, I don't know what's going on. She said, you can see my aura. And from that moment on, I have to focus on it more so lately. Life has been crazy, but I can see them.
And you need, I mean, you don't want to see everybody's aura, because when you see something like that, it comes in. So the more that you can turn it off and on, like if you do something, a movement every time you see it, whether it's this or any, whatever movement you do, can just be clasping your hands twice or something, so that your system knows, when I do this, I want to see auras. And when I do this, I don't want to see auras anymore. Because if you're on a bus, or if you're in a Costco on a Sunday afternoon, you don't want to start seeing everybody's aura, because that will make you sick as fuck.
Right.
Okay. So that's one thing that can help. Okay. Is to start to train your body. And since you already see them, it'll be super easy. It's harder when you don't know how to see them to then start to see them. It's more difficult. I always recommend having a specific body motion or whatever it is, whatever it is that you do that can be discreet, so that if you're in the middle of Costco, you can go, no, I don't want to do this. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing is, once you get a feel for your aura, I would put a white to silver on your etheric, and that's to be reflective, like a reflective white, if that makes sense. The reason for that is because you're trying to reflect out and send back what you can't handle. And then on the edge of the aura, I would put blue, like a deep blue. And that is because that's, as opposed to black, the blue is part of blues. Not only is communication, but it's also to do with standards and value. It's to do with the moral structure. Part of it is to do with that. And so you're saying, I am not open. These are my boundaries and I am not open. And then if you need to be open, then you can reach out, or you can touch someone, or you can not touch someone, and you can say, I'm open to this person. And sometimes you'll open up naturally to someone who you click with, which happens to, I think most of us, just when we click with someone, boop, we know how to take care of it. But that's, Alex also has lots of different kinds of ways. That's how I do shields if I need to. If I'm going into a really sketchy place, you can use black, but I think blue is a better to start with, because black can also send everything back, and that can sometimes have negative.
No. Okay.
You're just setting boundaries. And part of, as you work on the aura, when you're putting that in place, you also need to mentally write down the boundaries that you have to protect you as an empath. I am not open to negative energy.
Oh.
I try and get it nuts. I am open to, health and well-being and positive energy. Don't say I'm not open to negative energy. Scrap that one. I am.
You have to now.
I reflect things that come to take away. All first person. All of these have to be first person. Current, because you're doing it now. First person. So kind of like affirmations, but to do with your boundaries. You might want to take a little while and write down what your boundaries are, And, and my boundaries, just as an example, please don't, this is just for me, I want to be respected and treated with respect.
Yeah.
I want to be honored, and I will be honorable in exchange. I want to be kind, and I'm welcome to kindness. And so I go through the things that I will and will not have, and you take the will haves and make those your boundaries.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah,
and
definitely.
then the bracelet is just the putting on of, here's my bracelet. It's the morning I'm going to work. I'm putting this on as a protection because I know that it's going to, I know that it takes a lot out of me. And I don't know how it happens to you, but if it gets into me, I come home and crash. That's all I can do is sleep.
Yeah.
I
get exhausted.
I come home and I tell my 13-year-old, what do you want for dinner? And then I go to bed at 8:15. Yeah. So that's just a sort of down and dirty how to shield. I know that Alex has lots of different ways as well. But that's what I learned when I was young, and it's been pretty effective. And it's good to remind myself to do it. Hey, baby.
Hi.
Hi.
She's got some gifts herself.
Do you?
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Don't lose them.
She communicates with the other side.
Wow, that can be good. Make sure that you shield her as well. As her mother, you have that. That's part of your job, is to make sure that she's shielded as well. So she's not open to things that she can't handle. Okay?
Absolutely.
So as there's a reason why we say, parents are responsible. Part of being responsible is covering your children electrically, because it's part of your field. And so make sure, especially if she's got gifts, because what can happen is, I know what happened to me is I used to be able to see full electrically. And then one time I touched something, I was about 9, and I touched something and it stung me back. And then from then on, I couldn't see the same. So I didn't have anyone shielding me. I wasn't brought up in a circumstance like that. But so you need to shield her so that she can keep growing those innate gifts that all of us actually have. We just have to scrape off the crud to get there.
Right.
So does that help?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay. Please feel free to reach out to me. Just PM me if you have any other questions. Becca, do you have any other questions?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Any feedback? How'd it go? How do you think it went?
I think it went really well. I'm actually getting ready to go. I have a wonderful store in town. It's called Vedic Moons, and they do all kinds of classes, and they have all the crystals and everything, and I'm going to go do a candle magic class right now. So
cool.
It's a day of education for me. So
that sounds awesome. I need to do a candle magic. I use candles and incense, and and then my altar is like covered with stones and a few little statues of goddesses, and then stones, and then a bowl of stones for love and a bowl of stones for prosperity. But so, and then we will also be doing next week as well from 11 to 12. We're a little bit over, but that's okay. Tiffany, do you have any other questions?
What day of the week next week? Is it going to be Sunday?
It'll be Sunday morning.
Okay.
And if you can't make it, it'll be Alex has been so happy to videotape these things and put on YouTube.
Awesome.
That's me saying, yay, that's so awesome.
Yeah, it's helpful. I just started a new job and we're still not too sure what my schedule is. So
I get it. Good. New jobs are, it's change. It's hard, especially, part of, if you're feeling super worn out, part of it is just mental when you're learning something new, mental energy is super expensive on your body.
Yeah.
So if you're in a new job, that's why it takes like 2 to 3 weeks. Just even if you've done it before, you're working for a new company, it might be a new software, there might be just some very small changes, but it still takes a lot out of you, because when you're learning, it takes energy. Brain power takes energy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
you can always use like if you need like confidence or clarity or communication, you can always use just a clear crystal. If you didn't have other crystals, just put your intention in it, and it'll help you get acclimated to your new job.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. So I would say clear crystals, if you have a clear crystal, perfect. They're called the master healer, and they amplify anything that you put into it. It's very easy to program a clear crystal.
Okay.
Carnelian and citrine are two fairly common stones as well that can help with adjusting to the new position, being upbeat and still being able to handle the energies coming your way. But you're doing great, Tiffany.
Thank you.
I feel like you're still overwhelmed even on a Sunday. So just take it easy. Make sure you breathe, and you're fine. You'll be fine.
Yeah, definitely. I've been using my myrrh incense sticks. Those seem to be, I don't know what it is about that smell, but there's something about that smell that I can go from angry to calm and happy in seconds if I smell it.
That's awesome. I mean, everybody has smell is, so we all have our gifts. One of my gifts is smelling. I can smell emotions. I can smell feelings. I can smell perfume that you wore 2 days ago, but didn't take a shower. I can smell anything, which is good and not so good.
Right.
But it's everybody has it. And so if you're finding that that's cleaning you up, when you come home, you light a couple sticks, or you light a cone, or you burn it with a charcoal, and then you smell it and it starts to clean you up, that's fantastic, because smoke is powerful. Just like Rebecca's going to do the candle thing, that's incredibly powerful. Anyone, and you will, I think the cool thing, Rebecca is sort of like, I'm going to do this and this and this, and she's going to try out all these things to find out which one is which one clicks at the deepest. And it may be that they all click. Who knows? Yeah. But that's what I feel with Rebecca. She's like, okay, I'm going to try candle magic and see how that fits. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do essential oil stuff and see how that works.
Yeah, I'm like you. I'm Wicca leaning. I'm not full Wiccan, but I'm practicing Wicca and doing tarot, Reiki. I'm trying to get into making my own candles, which is why this is so important, because I need to learn how to do my intention into the candles and make them work properly for myself and other people if I do decide to make them and sell them.
Well, if you do candles, let me know, because I am trying to work on, so I'm perimenopausal, which is, the greatest time of your full fucking life.
Yeah.
And there's a couple stones that are actually very effective. And so I'm thinking of putting together a bag of these stones, but I think if there's a candle and some incense in it, that would be much more powerful for people, because it covers more of the elements. You've got the earth, you've got air, you've got fire, and then maybe have a little spell bottle with some water, moon water, or just something. So it has the 4 elements in it. But tell me if you do it, because I might, well, it depends on how expensive they are. But
elaborate.
This is what I want to do. I don't want to sell individual crystals. I want to sell healing bags that are specific for things that, like, this Manali, or also called fairy stones. If you have a hot flash, man, the minute you touch it, it goes away.
Wow.
It is, excuse me. This is what it looks like. That's not a good, it's not looking good there. Anyway, they usually come lighter. This one's got my body oil on it, and so it's darker. Yeah, I wear it right here because that way then when I'm at work and during the day, I don't have hot flashes. I take it out at night to clean it, and then I start having hot flashes. And then I pull out the big puppy, which is underneath my pillow. And the big puppy looks like this.
Wow.
So it's some kind of clay, natural clay formation. But I'll tell you, it cuts a hot flash. I've never seen anything like it. It's fucking crazy. So that's made me think, like, putting some of these bags together. Anyway, let me know how it goes.
I will.
I'm interested. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Miss Tiff, are you all right?
Yeah, I'm all right.
Thank you, Becca.
You're welcome.
And then both of you, if you have any questions, if something comes up later, because I know that's what happens to me, you're more than welcome to call me.
Okay.
Okay, so that's it. We're good. I'll be on next week. If you can make it, great. If you can't, that's okay. Miss Alex will put it on YouTube. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm a reluctant participant in the YouTube part. Anyway, she asked me if I watched it. I was like, yeah, I watched the first 3 minutes. So maybe one of these days I'll be able to watch the whole one. Anyway, please feel free to reach out to me. We are done. I will be back next week at the same time, 11 to 12. That's my goal, is to do it within 50 to an hour so that it's not this really long, so it doesn't take up the day kind of thing.
Yeah.
That to me, for me, that's, I just want that just a small little blast. So again, any questions, call me. Notes will be coming probably in a couple of weeks. Notes for the first class and for the second class will be coming. I just am trying to deal with a lot of other stuff at home that I'm not quite ready to finish my notes. Basically, when my new iPad comes, then I can start on my notes. Because my
no worries. I took my own notes.
Well, no, your notes are going to be very different than my notes. My notes are what I went from and then ran with it. You wrote down what I ran with.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, you guys take care, and see you around and about. And then again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me.
Right. Thanks, Tanya.
Thank you.
Take care, Tiff.
Bye,
You
babe.
too.
Little one. Thank you.
Bye.